Okay. So, we last left off on... Let me double check. It was Suffering of a Big Brother. So this one, page 4. This one. Alright, the next one that we have to do is actually all the way back. Here. C-103 Dose Experiment. Satoko Hojo's detailed test result is required. Kyosuke Iria's decision is required. So, let's go ahead and take a look at what C-103 is. I'm kidding, we already know what it is, I think. Plans for Satoko's dissection are moving right along. I don't want Satoshi to be sad. I feel pity for Satoko and her harsh circumstances. I'm still struggling with how much I have to sacrifice for the sake of research.
入江？
え？ああ、すみません。どうなさいましたか、リカさん。
僕の友達がずっと長く入院していますが、その子はひなみ沢症候群ではないのですか？
それを誰に聞きましたか？
僕がそう思っただけです。どうなのですか、入江。聡子はひなみ沢症候群ではないのですか？
Rika's on our side. There's nothing I have to hide from her. Actually, I probably shouldn't keep anything from her.
はい。両親との不仲と、その両親の突然の死。彼女の心には、それは一度に受け入れるには、あまりにそれが引き金になったのかもしれません。
検査の結果は？
レベル5です。上辺は非常に安定して見えますが、情緒は非常に不安定です。先日からサトシ君の見舞いも謝絶にしました。
サトシに聞きましたです。サトコの心の傷がなかなか言えないと気にしていましたです。入江、サトコはどうなるのですか？
Satoko is Rika's best friend. How can I tell her that we're planning to dissect Satoko? However, even if I don't say anything, she already knows that Satoko's situation is extremely poor.
入江は僕の体を調べてたくさんのことが分かったのではないですか？
ええ、それはもちろんです。症状を抑える効果が期待される試薬も現在いろいろと試しているところです。
それをサトコに与えることはできませんのですか？
一度は考えました。しかしかなり危険です。体力や精神力に余裕がある検体に試し、少しずつデータを集めていこうという段階です。サトコちゃんのようなもう後がない人間に試せるような代物ではありません。
では入江、
Then use it on me.
その薬を試さないなら
Oh.
サトコはどうなってしまうのですか？
She spoke as if aware of our plans for Satoko. No, she must actually know. I've told her about most of my research. She's more mature than she looks, so it'd be easy for her to figure it out.
僕はサトコが 1% でも助かる可能性があるならそれにかけるべきだと思いますです。
非常に危険な賭けです。最悪の場合、彼女は即座に末期発症し、錯乱するか、さもなければ人としての心を失い、一生を焦点の合わない目で壁を見て過ごす体になってしまうかもしれない。どちらも、それはあまりに過酷な運命です。
全身麻酔で痛みを感じさせずに眠った
I didn't mean to skip it. God damn. I was about to say, are we gonna get like the serious Rika? Like right now?
入江、よく高野が言う通り、医学に 100% はない。でも、このまま放置すれば、聡子を待ち受ける運命は 100% の絶対の死しかない。ならば、どちらにかけるかは明白なはず。
そうですね。その通りです。
But I know too well. C-103, the medicine that's being tested, may not even be something that can be used. It may not even have a 1% chance of success. Worse, I can't even imagine what kind of tragic end she'd meet if her body rejects the medicine. That's why I'm tempted to believe it would be far more merciful to feed her favorite food. Sorry, to feed her her favorite food. It'd be far more merciful to feed her favorite food. What kind of fucking sentence? Am I stupid? I'm tempted to believe it would be far more merciful to feed her favorite food. Let her gently fall asleep. No, it's feed her her favorite food. If they would have just written to feed Satoko her favorite food, that probably would have been a better sentence. But anyway, let her gently fall asleep, and after that dissect her while she dreams. I don't want to admit it, but Takano is right. I'm being indecisive and showing a lack of resolve. How effective could the medicine made by someone like that really be? So, because it was the medicine I created myself, I couldn't even believe there might be a 0.1 chance of success.
僕は入江の作った薬なら信用できると思いますです。
She spoke as if she read my mind. Surprised, I raised my head up to look at her, and found her giving me a reassuring look I never would have imagined someone her age capable of.
入江は人の命を左右するとても辛い仕事に耐えている。本来人の生き死になど人間がどうにかしようというのがおこがましいこと。その重圧は背負ったものにしかわからない。
It's just so funny hearing her be like, Nipa, and then like the next moment being like, people's lives depend on your job. It's almost absurd that a human being can control life and death like that. I can't even imagine the pressure. Like, what a fucking line delivery from Rika. Her voice hasn't changed, but I feel like Rika is admonishing me. Almost as if she knows what it's like to be responsible for human lives.
その重さは罪の意識と後悔の重さを加えて決められる。だから入江はまだまだ危険な薬を聡子に試せない。そうでしょ。
One sec. Who does Rika's voice in Japanese? It is Yukari Tamura. Do I know her from anything else besides voicing Rika? In Japanese, real quick. But just double check. Not off the top, like not from what I'm seeing here. Well, Boogie Pop Phantom. Oh, and Gao Gaigar. Oh, she voices a few characters in Gao Gaigar of all things. Anything else? If we go up a little bit more, seems like she voices a Naruto character. Anything else? If we go a little bit higher into the late 2000s, here we get Rika's voice in 2006. And then of course from the novels, sorry, the console arcs. And then I think that's it from, like, for characters that I recognize. Everyone else is kind of like, oh, she voices that chick that looks like Rika from Umineko. We'll see her eventually when we get to Umineko, but there's like a character that has, like, you know, like straight bangs and like long bluish hair, which I assume is just supposed to be like a light black. But yeah, I don't recognize any of these other characters, because now we're getting into animes from the mid-2000s, which that's when I kind of stopped giving a fuck about modern anime. Anyway. Oh, she voices Misty Honey from Cutie Honey. Anyway, back to this. Also, I think the stream crashed at some point. While I was looking at Rika's CV. Anyway, Takano said the same thing when she criticized me earlier. I'm being criticized again.
でもだからあなたになら人の命はとても重い。その重みに耐えかねるのはあなたが人の命を大切にしたい心があるからこそよ。そんな心がなくしてどうして人を病気から救えるというの？ 高野みたいに人をモルモットとしか思ってないやつの治療薬なんか試せると思う？
We get the smug gremlin, Rika. God, she looks so evil. Look at this fucking thing. Look at this homunculus. God, what a vile, vapid creature. Ugh. I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it. I felt like I should laugh.
高野とあなたがそれぞれに薬を差し出したなら、私は入江の薬の方が治るように思う。だって薬は人の心から生み出されるんだもの。自分の身から滴り落ちる雫で人を救いたいという気持ちが人の病を癒してくれる。
おっしゃる通りです。医者が薬のことで諭されるとは。
私は自分の体を他でもない聡子のために差し出した。私の体から注射針で抜き出したものは全て私から聡子に捧げる薬の雫。その雫から命の本当の重さを知り、日々後悔と自責を忘れないあなたが何かを抽出してくれたなら、それが聡子に効かないわけがない。
Do shrine maidens take confessions? No, she's not a Catholic priest. If they do, she's doing a great job being a shrine maiden at this age.
これは賭けになります。聡子ちゃんが果たして受け入れてくれるかどうか。
聡子に伝える必要はありません。聡子にとってひなみ沢症候群を知ることは心の深い傷をもう一度えぐることにしかならないのだから。
What did she mean by those words? When I realized it later, I was surprised by how thoughtful and perceptive she was.
解剖計画を中止させましょう。北条聡子に対する C103 投与実験に変更します。
He said dissection out loud in front of Rika.
せめて 1% でもうまくいく確率が上がるように努力します。
大丈夫ですよ。入江。絶対にうまくいきますです。
そんな楽観してはいけません。
大丈夫なのです。もう決まってることなのですから。これは古出神社の巫女様の心強いお告げです。ファイトオンなのですよ。
God. Only a strong will can produce a medicine that can cure my friend. Go for it, yeah! Anyway. So that was C103, Dose Experiment. So let's move on to the next one, which is right here. An accident at Shirakawa Park. So Satoshi Hojo's sister must refuse his visit at the clinic. Satoshi Hojo's sense of responsibility as a big brother is required. Satoko's dissection plan had been scrubbed, and we're getting ready to administer an almost totally untested medicine, C103. Have I avoided breaking the fragments so far? You can break them? I didn't know you could break them. But so far we've been going in like order, quote unquote. Okay, then yes. I didn't know they could break, but yes. We have not broken a single one yet, if they can break. This experimental medicine suppresses the production of a certain type of hormone, and, in doing so, it will stop the transmission of the syndrome triggering Satoko's condition. The mechanism of Hinamizawa syndrome is as follows. The pathogen takes over the frontal lobe of the patient's brain, and then induces increased responsiveness to paranoia. As a result, a patient voluntarily carries out excessively defensive behaviors to a problematic extent. If this individual can be cut off, then it'll be possible to save terminal patients from becoming deranged. But it only cuts off an induction, so it's not really a cure. Ironically, the brain is an organ that learns. Once the brain has learned to be excessively paranoid due to the Hinamizawa syndrome, even part of the pathogen is eliminated. The brain doesn't simply unlearn that paranoia. Huh. Hold on. Oh, interesting. Okay, yes. So even if you cure it, like, it'll still learn to fear. Or, well, to be paranoid. In short, even if the pathogen doesn't induce derangement, the patient will be directed to such emotions of their own volition. Thus, it is impossible to completely escape the nearly deranged L5 state. The proverb, "a burnt child dreads the fire," is a good example of this. Right. Even after the burn on your tongue heals, the fear of it being burned by food again remains. When it ends up being a good thing, we call it learning a lesson, and we call it trauma when it doesn't. We predict Satoko's treatment will take a significantly long time, requiring both medication, such as administering psychotropics, and mental care, like counseling. We have to slowly unravel her mind's solidified paranoia, while also suppressing the syndrome's induction of derangement. This is the treatment plan for terminal patients like Satoko. However, as we are going to simulate the parts of her brain that affect her emotions while they are being stimulated by the pathogen at the same time, it's possible that there could be unexpected side effects. Both her mental and physical strength hold the key to our success. We're going to begin the experiment once she regains her emotional stability and physical strength, but someone who threatens to disturb her emotional stability has been coming here every day. Oi-san. Oishi, the sly old detective from the Okinomiya Police Department. Give me 1 second. Let me make a note of something on my end real quick. Okay. Just wanted to make a note of something from the chapter here. Anyway, he thinks everything from the dam protest to the dismemberment murder of the construction manager is an organized effort secretly conducted by the 3 families of the village. He even thinks the accident involving Satoko's parents wasn't an accident. That's why he keeps coming back, so he can talk to Satoko. That's so annoying.
何度来られても聡子ちゃんへの面会を許可することはできません。彼女は両親を亡くしたショックで打ちのめされているんですよ。それを汲み取ることはできませんか？
いやいや、本当にちょっとだけお話が聞ければいいんです。そうお時間を取らせるつもりはないんですがね。令状が必要だってんなら申請しないことはありませんが。私も北条さんの容体を気遣っているからこそ令状を取るなんて無粋を避けているんじゃありませんか。
That's so fucked up. I can get a warrant if you want me to.
令状を取ってまで一体何を聡子ちゃんに聞こうとしているのか、私にはさっぱり。
実はですね、今回の転落、事故ではなく事件の可能性もありまして。
God damn it, Oishi.
北条夫妻がダム戦争以来村中から嫌われているという話は知っています。ですがわざわざ旅行先まで追いかけて突き落とすというのは少々突飛すぎはしませんか？
まあ事故でもいいんですがね。ならばどうしてもよくわからない嘘があるんです。どうして嘘が必要なのかって考えるとですね、こりゃ事故ってことはありえないんじゃないかなって思うんです。
嘘とは？
いえね、北条聡子さんの言う事故当時は車で眠っていたっていう話、ちょいと話がおかしいんじゃないかなってそう思うんです。
Satoko claimed she was asleep in the back seat when the accident took place, so she didn't get out of the car at the viewing platform. When she woke up, she didn't see her parents. Then she found out they had fallen off the cliff.
それのどこに嘘があるというんです？
She wasn't actually asleep in the car, idiot.
まさか聡子ちゃんが実は眠っていなくて両親と一緒に展望台へ行ったと、そういう意味ですか？
そうです。北条聡子さんは眠ってなんかいなかった。両親と一緒に車を降りて展望台へ行ったんです。
I'm suddenly hit by a terrible possibility. If what Oishi says is true and Satoko is saying she didn't go to the viewing platform, even though she actually did, it's terrible to even imagine.
何を根拠にそうおっしゃっているのかわかりません。それになぜ嘘をつく必要が聡子ちゃんにあるんですか？
それなんですよ。なぜ北条聡子さんは嘘をつかなければならないのか。それの本当のところを教えていただけないと、こいつはただの転落事故ってことでは済ませられないんです。
どうして聡子ちゃんが嘘をついているとお思いなんです？
今回の事故は所轄が違いますので、白川署さんが関係者から事情聴取をしているんですがね、その調書を読んでみるとどうにも引っかかるところがある。
引っかかるところとは何ですか？
北条聡子さんの主張によるならば、彼女は両親に展望台へ行こうと誘われたが、眠たかったのでそれを断り車を降りなかったという。そして彼女はそのまま熟睡してしまい、相当の時間が経ってから目を覚ました。そしていつまでも戻ってこない両親に不安感を募らせ泣き出した。その声を聞いて巡回中の公園作業員が話しかけて事故が発覚したことになっています。この時ですね、公園作業員の証言では、両親が崖下に転落したと彼女が先に言ったというんですよ。ところがこの時、北条夫妻が止めた車の位置からは問題の事故現場ははっきりと見えたわけじゃないはずなんです。いや、注意深く見れば柵が破損していたのを気づけたかもしれない。でもですよ、目が覚めたら両親がいないのを知って真っ先に崖下へ転落したというのは尋常ではないと思うんです。普通は、両親が自分を置いてどこかに散歩に行ってしまい戻ってこないというはずなんです。転落する直接の現場を見てもいないのに、両親が転落したと第三者にいきなり言うのがね、この辺りどうして彼女は両親が転落したと確信したのか、その経緯を教えてもらいたいと思いまして通い詰めているところだったんですよ。入院前に私も何度かお尋ねはしているんですが、記憶にない。当時は混乱していたと、まるでどこかの政治家みたいな答弁でしたね。
She's like 9 years old, dude.
私はじっくり話をしてみる価値があるかなって思っていたんですよ。
If I were to hazard a guess, I mean, maybe Satoko, was in the car. She was asleep. She woke up, noticed that her parents weren't around. She got up. She went to the viewing platform, saw the broken gate, and started to, she started to cry as she was walking back to her car. And then probably, said, "Hey, my parents fell." Because again, in Higurashi, the way Ryukishi writes stuff, he writes stuff in a way that makes you question, like, all the characters. Or, sorry, not question, makes you suspect them. It's like, did Satoko actually kill her parents? The answer is more than likely no. Satoko was like 9, There's no way she would have killed her fucking parents. At least that's what I'm leaning more towards. So, we'll see. That terrifying possibility has turned to certainty in my head. I'd assumed that her parents' accident triggered her terminal symptoms. But no. Satoko had already gone terminal, and just before the accident, her heart was filled with paranoia that drove her mad. She was under a lot of stress because of her bad relationship with her stepfather. She was also being scolded by her mother for not being able to get along with him. If that made her paranoid, made her think her parents considered her to be a bother and were going to kill her. When they went to the viewing platform, she must have thought they were going to push her off the cliff. Then the tragedy took place, and she pushed her parents off instead, although she considered it to have been self-defense. I'm certain of that, because I know Hinamizawa syndrome better than anybody. This accident isn't an accident. It isn't a crime either like Oishi is thinking. It is simply a tragedy. When I talked to Satoshi about the family, I was even more convinced. He told me even though Satoko refused to open up to her stepfather, he had tried to communicate with her. It's true their relationship didn't go well in the beginning. Satoko caused trouble repeatedly and even called the city's child abuse hotline. At that point, they received guidance from the Child Consultation Center, and they pointed out that the problem lay in the lack of communication between daughter and stepfather. So the stepfather took a parenting course under the social worker's guidance, and awkward though it was, he made efforts to communicate with her. Satoshi noticed his efforts, so he tried to talk to Satoko about it. But Satoko didn't notice them at all. The excessive stress she was under triggered terminal symptoms, and she couldn't understand her stepfather's remorse. On the contrary, her stepfather's change created even more mistrust within her. I see. I mean, we will read Miyotsuchi eventually. As a result, they went to enjoy the beautiful view of the Shirakawa Nature Park as a family, and to share in that joy. Yet that humble, ordinary family's wish couldn't even get through to Satoko. What a tragic misunderstanding. Satoko stayed in the car telling her parents that she wanted to sleep, but then she got out and snuck up behind him. I bet he heard her footsteps. He pretended not to notice her, thinking that she was doing that to surprise him. It's just sad thinking about what must have ran through his mind. While he thought he had finally gotten through to her, she was actually approaching him with the intent to kill. But that's not Satoko's true nature. It's the disease. Satoko isn't the only one who is to be pitied. Her parents are victims too. And now, Oishi thinks she's a criminal. Judgment and punishment are required for crimes with malicious intent. But what she really needs is understanding and sympathy. And no one has that understanding except for me, because I know about Hinamizawa syndrome. I am the director of the Idia Institute, but I've never behaved as such or exercised that authority. But I'm going to do so for the first time since taking that position. I'm not doing it as the head of the Idia Institute, the secret research organization. I'm doing it as a doctor so I can protect Satoko.
白川自然公園の聡子ちゃんの両親の転落事故ですが、この件、事故で決着するように山犬のお好みさんにお願いしてもらうことはできますか？
ええ、そんなことお安いご用ですわよ。山犬はそういうものの隠蔽や捏造に最も特化した部隊ですもの。
Okay, never mind. Satoko killed her fucking parents, I guess.
確かに早くあの転落事故が事故ということに決着しないと警察がうちの実験体に近づいて邪魔ですものね。
This is like Plague Inc. When they're researching like the vaccine cure, so you have to like start evolving and multiplying and infecting more people, making it even fucking harder to research the vaccine.
そういうことです。
You increase like your medicinal resistances and shit so that you can't be studied properly and the like.
特に大石さんがこの件から早く引き上げるようよろしくお願いします。試薬投与実験のデリケートな時期です。不要な辛労をかけるのは適当ではありませんので。
まったくですわね。山犬にそのように伝えますわ。警察にもすでにコネクションがあるとのことなので圧力をかけるよう指示しましょう。近日中に白川転落事故は事故として確定することになると思いますわ。
With that, it was declared an accident. If only it really was one, it would have eased Satoko's soul. Getting rid of the pathogen can't heal that wounded soul, nor can it erase the tragedy that had already taken place. All I can do is my best, so the day she regains her smile comes sooner. Yeah, I can't believe Satoko killed her parents. Or did she? What if all of this is still just a red herring? I know it might sound a little weird, but like, do you remember? Oishi thinks Satoko killed her parents. Irie thinks she killed her parents because of what happened, because of Hinamizawa syndrome. Oishi thinks that it's impossible for Satoko to have known that her parents fell just because she didn't see them or something. And then Irie, because of that, asks the mountain dogs to clean up. So what if they didn't clean up anything? There was nothing to clean up. They tell, they tell Takano, yeah, we'll do it. And then they quote unquote do it. Right? They check out the scene. Oh, there's not much here actually. Like there really is like nothing to fucking clean up here. But we'll apply pressure on the police to fuck off. That's one thing we can do. So what if that's what happened? Again, Ryukishi is very clever with his writing. Especially with red herrings like these. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Should be here. H170. The discontinuation of Satoko Hojo's dissection plan is required. Kyosuke Irie's motive to become a doctor is his motive. Right. C-103's implementation on Satoko is going well so far. It wouldn't make any difference to me if the experiment failed. However, Irie's extraordinary focus and attention to the experiment has avoided Satoko Hojo's hallucinating or turning into a vegetable during the experiment. And surprisingly, we see the prospects of her returning to normal life despite reaching L5. C-103 still has many issues, but this experiment proved that even a person who has reached L5 can be cured. I didn't believe it at first, but I guess I have to acknowledge Irie's hard work. Only Irie could have done this. He was tormented by naive humanism and didn't want to make mistakes, and that is why he felt obligated to cure Satoko. The reason why I dislike Irie isn't because of his achievements or abilities, but because of that weakness. But this time, I had to praise him for it.
入江所長のレポートを拝見しましたわ。
Would she turn into a broccoli or cauliflower? She turned into like another member of that family, like kale or something.
脱帽と言わざるを得ません。
いえ、私の研究者としての職務を果たしたに過ぎません。その結果、医者としての職務も果たせたなら、私にとってはそれに勝ることはありません。
今やさとこちゃんは私たちにとって最も重要な検体になったと言っても過言ではないでしょう。何しろレベル5に至りながら生還した初めての人間なのですから。
One other thing I haven't mentioned. It's a possibility that I thought of, but I never really went through or went really far with it as a concept or as an idea. But we know that, for example, Tomitake has Hinamizawa syndrome. We know he's infected with the virus, so he has a very weak version of it living within himself, right? He's got a weak pathogen inside of him. And he only visits Hinamizawa 4 times a year for 3 to 4 days, right? Or just for the week of the Watanagashi. Who's to say Oishi isn't infected? Who's to say that he is at a level 3 or something? And anytime anything comes up involving the death of the dam construction, the dam committee, or the head of the dam committee, anything that involves his old friend and father figure, who's to say that Oishi isn't infected, and anytime any of that shit is comes up, he starts to exhibit symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome? That's something I never bothered to think about. Well, or I did, but I never follow the thoughts too much. Also, hey Lechuga, thanks for stopping by over on the kick side.
その通りです。彼女を社会生活に復帰させ、経過を見ながら長期観察に切り替えていきます。彼女には毎週日曜日にこちらに来てもらって検査を受けてもらえるよう話をするつもりです。
しかし C103 を日に3回も注射する義務と毎週日曜日に検査に訪れる義務を彼女にどう説明されるおつもりで？彼女には何の病気の自覚もないのに。
そこは今うまく納得してもらえる話を考えています。今考えているのは私の研究論文に協力してもらうというものです。栄養剤の注射を毎日してもらい、毎週日曜日にその効果を検査する。その代わりに研究協力費としていくらかを支払うという感じです。
I guess Edie is determined to cure Satoko no matter what. He seems determined to keep her off the dissection table. He and I are in different positions, but I don't have any complaints about his naive ideals so long as they translate directly into passion for our research. If his plans can be put into effect and produce a different result than the dissection would, then they'll still be useful to the overall understanding of the Hinamizawa syndrome. I have nothing against Satoko Hojo. It's only that I see her as a research specimen. If she could be useful in that capacity without being dissected, that's perfectly fine with me.
日に3回もの注射となれば、これは本人だけでなく、保護者の方の同意も不可欠です。確か、ご両親が亡くなってからは、おじ夫婦に親権が移っていましたね。そちらに一度、相談に伺おうと思います。
Oh, he gets to meet Satoko's uncle, huh?
メイへの怪しげな研究協力を承諾してもらえればいいのですが。
大丈夫ですわよ。
Teppei, that was his name.
そのための研究協力費ですもの。月に10万か20万も振り込んでやれば大喜びしますわ。
それだけの予算はありますか？
もちろん。二郎さんを納得させる資料を作りさえすれば。
わかりました。それは私が作ります。あと、さとこちゃんに心労をかけないよう指導しておく必要もあります。レベル5をぶり返すことになったら大変ですからね。噂では、おじ夫婦はとても現金な方だとか。金銭で丸め込むのは可能かもしれません。それらの指導も私の方できっちり行うつもりです。
I've heard Satoko isn't getting along with her aunt and uncle. I never thought that affect us in any way, but now Edie has to deal with them. Maybe he's developed some kind of sense of responsibility or duty as her guardian. I don't really care. The more responsible he feels, the more progress our research makes. That'll be a plus for me.
それはそうと、H17 番台についてのレポートを拝見しました。
ええ。入江所長の成果に比べれば足元にも及びませんが、一応の研究成果。
本当に皮肉ですね。彼女を錯乱から救う治療薬を作っていた研究所で、
Yeah.
その傍らでは、彼女を直ちに錯乱させる危険な薬が作られていたのですから。
I was about to say, wasn't 170 the one that gives you the disease? And yeah, it is. Edie wasn't involved in the H170 research. That was my work. In fact, even if I asked him, he wouldn't have agreed to be involved. This dangerous reagent was developed during the process of uncovering the mechanisms behind how the pathogens controlling Satoko Hojo's brain could induce derangement or paranoia in their host. That is a long-ass fucking sentence. It's correct, but it's very long. Yeah, I'm like, where can we put a comma? Nowhere. Or I guess after derangement. Controlling Satoko Hojo's brain could induce derangement or paranoia in their host. but technically the or kind of takes that place. Anyway, to put it bluntly, injecting H170 into a patient with Hinamizawa syndrome forced them to express terminal symptoms. It threw the brain into a simulated state of agitation, intentionally forcing the pathogen to grow unstable. If we continue researching this, it will be possible to drive anyone with Hinamizawa syndrome violently insane at any time. Studying the mechanism behind that will help to solve the syndrome's mysteries. So this study on H170 will be extremely important to future research. Also, this medicine has military applications, as the client requested. At this point, there is absolutely no use for it. But once our research progresses a bit further, this H170 could be spread at the right moment to cause a certain type of reaction. Compared to a killer virus, it seems like a useless pathogen, but there's no way to detect it in a dead body, and it makes it look as though the person just went insane spontaneously, so it must have some useful applications. The Marco Polo Bridge incident threatened to end research on Hinamizawa syndrome before. A historically important incident like that couldn't have been created by a killer virus. But it's possible with Hinamizawa syndrome. The Elders of the Alphabet Project, the sponsors of our research, can think whatever they want about that. I don't care how they use what I've learned. My purpose is to solve the mystery of Hinamizawa syndrome and to make people realize how important the research is. Also, to make people acknowledge my grandfather's accomplishments and achievements. Any military applications were just byproducts of the process that I didn't care about.
クライアントにとっては高野さんの成果の方が喜ばれるでしょう。来期の予算取りが楽になるかもしれませんね。
情熱だけでは研究は続けられませんものね。先立つものがなければ。
これだけの潤沢な資金を提供してくださるスポンサーさんには頭が上がりません。これだけのお金が公費から出ているのですから。
日本という国は私たちが想像しているよりずっと豊かなのかもしれませんね。公費は公費でも表に出せない黒い公費でしょうけれどね。
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for getting back to me about that. Anyway, Idia has no idea what I had to go through to get that money. Anyway, our research is going extremely well. We don't know what we'll find out about Hinamizawa syndrome, but I'm sure every mystery will eventually be solved. I can't wait. What the syndrome indicates is that humans are simply empty containers, and what we believe to be our will is simply the actions of parasites that live in our brains. If that mystery was solved, it would have a greater impact than anything else in history. That is a truth which nobody wants to believe. This is an achievement my grandfather predicted back during his time. Ah, I now know. Wait, I read that backwards. I know now. It's the same thing. I know the reason why my grandfather was so fascinated by his work. Interesting. Also, I did just get confirmation. Basically, I used to think that Chapter 5 was like split into 2 parts. That we would have to do all 53 shards and then like do something else, like do more shards, but no. It's just these 53 shards, which is great. Alright, let's go on to the next one. So that should be here. Distrust of the mother of a queen. Results of the research on C-103 and H-107 are required. The truth about the Shirakawa Park incident or accident is required. So it really was the truth, as far as we know. The quote-unquote truth is required. We don't know that for sure yet. We will find out at the end of things, I hope. Rika has developed a high fever. A very high fever. It's not flu season, nor a season for any type of contagious disease. I can only think of the suspicious experiments Rika has gone through. Maybe the fever is being caused by those. Okay, so this is either Irie or her mom or father talking. Her growth is rather slow compared to the other children her age. Receiving mysterious shots and going through experiments every week, I'm sure her body is exhausted. I've asked the staff to go easy on her, but Rika herself is fearless and is willing to go through anything. My husband, who should be admonishing her for that, truly believes their story, that it's crucial to the lives of over 2,000 villagers, and takes our own daughter to that clinic every week. Okay, so it is her. I'm the only one who's sincerely worried about her health. That's why I want to ask Dr. Idia to be a little bit more considerate towards Rika. Anyway, I have to talk to them about taking responsibility for this. Right after I called, a staff member came to pick up Rika to admit her to the clinic. As your guardian, I came with them.
落ち着いてください、お母さん。必ず救いますから。もうしばらくお待ちになってください。
これが落ち着けるかというんです。急にこんな高熱が出るなんておかしいじゃないですか。これも先週にやったというなんとかという怪しげな実験の影響じゃないんですか。リカはね、年相応の小さな女の子なんですよ。リカは友達思いだから病気にかかった友達のためにと。
分かっております。それに私たちの研究が間違ってもリカさんに悪い影響を及ぼすようなことはありえませんし、万一にもそのようなことが起こらないよう常に注意をしています。
だったらこのリカの熱は一体どういうことなんですか。
おそらくは季節の変わり目ですので。
風邪なわけないでしょ。あなたたちが妙な薬を注射したからに決まっています。
My god. Why does she have such a high fever? It's because you're experimenting on her. It's like, bro, she could also just get sick. Like, it happens. You live in the mountains. She got bit by a mosquito and now she's got, like, I don't know, light pneumonia. Or diet pneumonia. Dr. Idia told me to calm down and refuse to accept responsibility. One quick thing, because I did want to check this out real quick. Okay, it was an alligator. I kept wondering, is that like some kind of scanner? Is that something for like a card? Like, what is that red thing in the back? And it's just a little alligator holding a card. And I guess it's got a little necklace with a name tag or something. I can't read what that kanji says because it's, I don't know, it's too tight. Like, too tightly compacted. I can't read it. I can't read the fucking kanji at the back either. I think that's the kanji for love. I think that's ai right next to the crocodile on the left. Let me double check. I think it is. No, it isn't. It says reception. Hold on. No, it's close to the kanji for love. It says uketsuke. And that one is just shou, or well, the kanji can be read otherwise. But yeah, no, because I looks very similar to it. Yeah, it looks very. It's almost the exact same kanji, except there's like it's like, you see how it's got a dash, then like 3 lines, and then like a like a bar underneath it. Like, the space between that has like a different symbol, and then you get I, and that's what that would be love. But they look so similar. So that's I was like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, no, I'm not gonna hold it. Let's go back to the original backgrounds. So there's a little crocodile back there too. That's just really funny. Sorry. My husband told me this is all for the sake of the village, and that's why I've held my back my doubts until now. But I'm at my limit. Their existence has been suspicious from the beginning. They're conducting their research in secret, using a privacy policy as an excuse. That was shady enough on its own. It's just impossible. In fact, I called the Ministry of Health and was told that wasn't true at all. Even after I told them I'm Rika Furuda's mother. The clinic even came up with stupid excuses, saying normal workers often don't know of a special institute like theirs. That doesn't make sense at all. It's much, much too suspicious. Also, there are people who don't appear to be researchers working at the institute. They look like security guards, but they seem so different from normal guards at a normal hospital. In fact, one time I accidentally saw that they were armed with guns.
それはですね。
あの人たちは警察なんですか？とてもそうには見えません。大体あなた方は何者なんですか？厚生省の人間だなんて私は今さら信じませんよ。
Dr. Irie seems taken aback by my intensity and can't even answer me properly. They're still hiding a lot more from us. That tells me the research they're working on with Rika isn't anything
と
proper.
にかく私はリカの保護者です。リカはまだまだ子供です。あの子が何をどう返事しようとも今後は一切研究を手伝わせるつもりはありません。
Irie's like glasses like start, shining, and he's like, I'm afraid I can't let you leave this facility, Miss Furude. You will be the next victim of this year's Watanagashi. But now we know why she dies. Now we know why she goes missing. And her husband dies. Her husband died of like a mysterious turbo cancer, and she apparently was hallucinating and started walking towards like the edge of the swamp in the village, and then drowned herself by walking into it. Which is quite a crazy fucking way to go. But now that we know of the mountain dogs, we know exactly what happened to her. That she disappeared. We don't know exactly what happened. We know what happens to her.
リカちゃんのお母さんではありませんの。どうもこんにちは。あら、どうかなさいまして？
いえ、
Imagine she retorts and she's like, and you're dressed like what a Halloween store thinks a nurse looks like. What is even going on in this fucking institute? She starts raising her voice. The guards kind of like put their hands on her hip. They start reaching. Irie has to be like, shh, like fucking waving them down, flagging them down with his hand.
お母さんがリカさんをこれ以上研究に関わらせたくないとおっしゃってまして。
それはどうしてですか？うちの子はあなたたちの実験動物ではないからです。そう扱ったことなどございませんわよ。
I knew she was gonna make that face. The second she said she's not your guinea pig, I knew she was immediately going to bust out that face. Also, I guess it's implied that either Takano is wearing like platform shoes or heels in this sprite, or Ryukishi just wanted to be known that she's wearing tights, so he shifted her sprite upwards. Because she's normally, I believe she's shorter than Irie. If not, she's like around his height.
それは大きな誤解ですわ。
I'm a little startled. Dr. Irie is a weak person who backs down under pressure. Takano is different. I'm yelling at her, but she's not afraid at all. On the contrary, she's glaring daggers, and it looks as if she's about to jump on me.
リカちゃんの熱は風によるものですわ。私たちのせいだなんてとんでもない。私たちは安全や衛生には国立研究所クラスの注意を払ってます。失礼ですが、アルコール消毒もしない手でリカちゃんの手を引いて歩いているあなたより衛生的なくらいですわよ。そんなことは聞いていません。
How do we know you didn't give it to her? Do you dip your hands in boiling water and then dip them in alcohol to ensure that any bacteria that was residing on the surface of your palms was cleansed before you even touch your daughter's like cheek or hand? Of course not. We wear gloves in this establishment. We make sure that anything that enters a room that, where we perform any sort of like treatment is scrubbed down to the nanometer. With cleanliness, with the finest of cleaning products.
とにかく、リカはあなたたちのおもちゃじゃないんです。リカはもう二度とここへは連れてきません。
She's coming back tomorrow. In fact, she's not leaving tonight.
あなたの一存で決められては困りますわね。
Oh. we've never seen an angry Takano before. Look at her. She's fucking mad. Hold on. I can do this at least through streaming magic. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and this is what's like staring down at you from your ceiling. It's up on the walls like a spider. Okay. And I guess for a second. Ugh. She looks disgusting. But yeah, though, this Takano looks a lot. I don't know. She looks interesting. I've never seen an angry Takano. We haven't seen a sprite of her being mad. Anyway.
ご協力をいただくことについて、ご両親には契約書にサインをしてもらっているはずではございませんの？研究に協力していただく見返りに、決して少なくない額を毎月お口座に振り込ませていただいているはずですわ。
そんなお金、私は知りませんよ。聞いたこともないです。
Erika receiving money for participating in their research really is news to me. Knowing my husband's character, he wouldn't have used it as spending money behind my back. I bet he thought of it as a free service for the villagers, and completely forgot about the money being deposited into our account. There haven't been any strange deposits in the regular account, so it may be in our savings. Anyway, I don't care about that.
契約を保護にされる場合には、それまでの振込額をすべて返還していただくことになっているのはご存知ですわね。他にも一方的な保護についてそちらに非がある場合。
高野さん、落ち着いてください。お母さんもどうか。ひなみ沢症候群は以前にもご説明させていただきましたように、これからも村人たちが安心して生活していくために絶対に治療していかなくてはならないものなのです。そのためにはどうしてもリカさんのご協力が必要なのです。
治療のためって、じゃあその治療薬はいつになったら出来上がるんですか？
What a fucking stupid question is this?
大体おかしいじゃないですか。
What doesn't make sense? That she has a fucking cold? Are you outside of your goddamn mind, woman? Like, what the fuck is this? I get it, right? She is a mother. She is worried about her daughter. I get it. But come the fuck on. Who the fuck just goes up to, like, a clinic and is like, when the fuck are you guys gonna, like, you know, cure this shit?
リカの友達のさとこちゃんのためということでしたけど、そのさとこちゃんはもう退院して元気に生活しているというじゃありませんか。確か先々週にうちの人が話を聞いた時にも、もう治療のめどは立ったというようなお話をされていたはずですわよね。
ええ、めどはついたというような話はしたと思います。ですが、ひなみ沢症候群の全貌を解明するためには。
全貌の解明なんか最初の話で聞いていません。リカが協力するのは村人の病気を治療するためのはずです。ならもう十分ではありませんの。皆さんがリカに怪しげな研究やら検査やらをしているのはあなた方の興味本位であって、治療とは何の関係もないんじゃありませんの。
そんなことはありません。とにかくリカさんの風邪の件は誤解なんです。もしどうしてもご不審ということでしたら
とにかくお金の話もあるみたいなので、私も帰って夫と相談しますから。それでは失礼します。
They were just too shady from the very start. Because of their exaggerated story, Rika and my husband took their side, but it won't work on me. Anyhow, I must settle things with them right away. Because Rika isn't their toy. I especially don't trust that woman called Takano. Dr. Idia seems to me like he's still a doctor, but she doesn't. How can I describe her? I guess I can say the glow in her eyes is just unpleasant. She only sees Rika as a guinea pig. I can feel cruelty emitting from her. Neither my husband nor Rika have noticed that. I must protect her. As a mother, I must protect Rika. And again, I get it, right? I totally understand where she's coming from. But like her lack of reasoning is kind of absurd. She's on, like, you know, protect my child mode. but, you know, you'd think she would have gotten like this the moment they were like, we want to test on your daughter, and she like, we want to perform tests on your daughter, and she kind of started leaning in that direction, but the straw that broke the camel's back is because she got sick. Like, come on.
あそこで喧嘩を買ってしまったら余計に話がこじれてしまうではありませんか。あなたらしくもないですよ。
そうですわね。
Oh, and here we have a frustrated Takano. Kureiji. Look at her. See, yeah, actually, speaking of, this kind of shows their like actual height. She's like, you know, close to Idia in height. She's a few inches, you know, a few centimeters shorter than him. But in this sprite, again, either she's wearing something, like some high platform shoes, or she just is suddenly taller, or you know, Ryuki, she's like, no, we want to show off that she's wearing tights. Like, here's her stockings, right? Anyway.
ごめんなさい。取り乱してしまって。
Did something happen to put her in a bad mood? Idia wondered. The heated conversation she just had didn't involve Takano, the Takano he knew. That's crazy. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next one. And this one. How close are we to finishing some of these? This page requires 3. I think that's the smallest. No, this requires 2. 2 left, I think, is the least amount of chapters required. Yes. Okay, so back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rika Furude's high fever is required. Jiro Tomitake's slight fever is required. Jiro? He had a slight fever? I don't remember. If he did, it's been a bit. Takano always comes along with me whenever I go take pictures on a stroll. She might have discovered the joys of cameras, and I'm happy to gain a friend who shares the same hobby. Kinda. We didn't stream on Wednesday. So I was like, you know what, I'll try to make up for it a little bit. Out of the 53 or so shards that we have to go through, we're currently at... We finished 20. We stopped at 20 yesterday. So I'm going to try to get to 30 or 35. So that next week we can finish this and finally move on. Because, let's see. Silent Hill F comes out in 2 weeks, if I recall. And I'm definitely getting it. And I'm definitely streaming it, like, during the Higurashi slot when it comes out. If I just double check that real quick, I'm pretty sure it is on the 23rd. And if it is, then, yeah. Let's see. Silent Hill F comes out on, what was it, the 27th? 24th. I was off by 1. Yeah, I'm not getting it on the on the 22nd. So it comes out next, sorry, not next Wednesday, but it comes out on a Wednesday, which is when I would stream it. So we should finish the shard collecting next week, and then we can try to get through, I guess, the rest of the chapter. How many were left? There's quite a few left. So I mean, I'll try to, I don't know, man. We'll see how long it takes me to do this, because I really want to get through this chapter, and then these next chapters should be kind of short for the most part, except for the finale, which is exactly like 7 hours. Fuck. Anyway, we'll try to get through this for sure. Sorry. Continuing on. However, there's actually something else she's much more interested in. That would be the history of Hinamizawa. She frequently visited libraries and local archives to read through various documents and books when it comes to Hinamizawa. She's gained quite extensive knowledge of the local history. When she's in a good mood, she tells me about things like how Hinamizawa used to be called Onigafchi Village, and how the villagers there used to perform various cruel ceremonies based around the worship of Yashiro-sama. It seemed she loved tales of violence, and that actually gave her a mysterious charm. Most people would say that is a red flag in a woman. On the other hand, I don't do well with grotesque things, so I can hardly say anything in response. The stories of cruel ceremonies that she gets excited about, I don't really get them all that well. However, with the way her eyes light up when she talks, I don't mind spending time with her even if I have to hear about the cruel things.
高野さんはそういうのを調べるのが好きだね。
あら、だって楽しいわよ。封印された過去の暗黒史を紐解くなんて、とてもワクワクすることだとは思わない？
You sure are a fucking freak, huh? Of course, it's fun. Takano smiled in a way that almost made it sound like a dark past is something fun. Also, hey Opti, thanks for stopping by over on the kick side. But of course it isn't. The dark history of Hinamizawa that she loves is something cruel and atrocious, like the witch hunts in the Middle Ages.
それに、ひなみざわ症候群を調べる上でもとても役立つことなのよ。何も顕微鏡を除くことだけが調べることになるとは限らない。この寄生虫と長い時間を過ごしてきたこの村の伝承の方がよっぽど重要な何かを教えてくれることもあるんだから。
それもそうだね。うん。高野さんは本当に研究熱心だよな。
だって研究こそ私のライフワークだもの。それは多分考えることに悦を感じることができる人間だけに許された最高の娯楽だと思うの。この研究の第一人者だった高野先生もひなみざわ症候群の研究に生涯を捧げるだけの何かを見出し、その魅力に取りつかれていたに違いないでしょうね。多分私だけがそんな高野先生の気持ちを理解してると思うの。研究者でない二郎さんには難しいかしら。
You wouldn't last a minute in my sick, twisted world, Jiro. She always seems so enthusiastic every time she talks about the late Dr. Takano, an independent researcher who was the first person to discover the existence of the syndrome. There has to be something more there than just there has to be something more there than just her admiration as a researcher. Are you fucking blind? What's Takano's fucking last name? It's Takano. What's the researcher's last name? Takano. Come to think of it, his full name was Hifumi Takano. Takano-san's full name is Mio Takano. Bro's got that hamster spinning in that wheel. Not only are their last names pronounced the same, but their first names follow a similar pattern. They must be they must be connected somehow. Oh god. Hold on, I think OBS either crashed or Twitch is like, apparently I'm not streaming on Twitch right now. Let's double check. No, I'm live. Okay. God. He's really thinking about it now. I don't know anything about Takano's personal history, but there's a good chance that her name is an alias. So it's very possible that she chose a name to reflect the researcher she admires.
なるほど。ひょっとして高野さんはだからミオという名前なのかい？いや、高野さんが尊敬しているその先生の名前が確か高野ひふみ。そして高野さんの名前がミオ。123の後を引き継いで34。彼が成し遂げられなかった研究を引き継いだからそういう名前なのかなって思ってね。
それを誰かに聞いたの？
いや今僕が適当に考えただけなんだよ。別に誰かが言ってたわけじゃ。
正解よ。鈍い二郎さんにしてはよくわかったわね。
Oh my god. I'm surprised a fucking dumbass like you would get it.
いや、高野さんがその高野先生をとても尊敬しているのは知ってたし、まるで自分が実の娘か孫で研究の正当な後継者だというような感じで言っていることがあったからね。なんとなくそんな気がしただけなんだよ。
one sec.
作家のペンネームだってほら尊敬する作家のオマージュで名前を付けることもあるし。なら高野美代って名前もペンネームみたいなものなのかなって思って。
そんなことはないわよ。高野美代は本名よ。もっとも高野の高は鳥の高じゃなくて高い低いの高が正しいけれど。
え？じゃあ高野先生とは本当は同じ名字なのかい？それはますますびっくりだね。しかも美代が本名とは。高野ひふみの研究を高野美代が継ぐ。
Oh wait, never mind.
運命的偶然を感じるね。
Stream actually died for realsies. Give me a second.
"二郎さんったら運命的だなんて大げさな。別に運命でも何でもないのよ。
え？
Oh wait, hold on. I read that too quickly. Oh yeah, so she's like, he's my grandfather. This is news to me. I heard Takano discovered documents about the Hinamizawa syndrome left by Dr. Takano after his death and decided to continue his research. I've never heard of him being related before.
祖父の研究を引き継ぐために予算をというと、まるで身内びいきのために予算を引っ張ろうとしているように見えて、印象が良くないというふうに助言をしてくれる人がいたので、高の一文字を変えたからなの。
Ah, okay. Okay. So that's how we got confused. I see, I see. I thought he was, just fucking dumb. But no, like, her character's her last name's character was different. Or the character used for her last name was a little bit different.
だから、人前で高野先生が私の祖父だと話したのは、小泉のおじいちゃんを除いたら。
そうだったのかい。なるほどね。君がひなみ沢症候群の研究に入江所長も驚くほどの情熱を見せる理由がちょっとだけ分かったよ。
I understand very clearly now. She really did inherit the work of her grandfather. Sorry, she really did inherit the work her grandfather wasn't able to complete.
祖父も医学的見地からだけでなく、古文書などの文献からもひなみ沢症候群を探っていたの。ひなみ沢症候群と何百年にもわたって共にあった村の文献を調べることは、何百倍もの倍率を持つ顕微鏡を除くより価値があり得るというのは、祖父が私に教えてくれたことなの。
なるほどね。だとしたら自分の完成できなかった研究をこれだけ立派に引き継いでくれたおじいさんはきっと喜んでいるだろうね。こんなに熱心な孫
そうだといいわね。
I said something Takano would normally tease me about, but she didn't. She nodded and smiled. There's no mistake. She is indeed the granddaughter of Dr. Takano.
祖父がひふみで1、2、3。私はミオで3、4。私は祖父を継ぎ、ようやく3を共に数えたに過ぎない。そして祖父の次の4を数え、私も祖父もまだ見ぬ5へ至らなければならない。それが私の使命であり、生まれてきた理由でもある。
それでミオという名前なんだね。素敵な名前だと思うよ。
Oh, and of course, if you're watching on Twitch, since it crashed, you're gonna get an ad again in like a minute.
ありがとう。私が孫だという話は内緒にしてほしいの。クライアントの人たちにも言っていないから。耳
うん、分かったよ。これは僕と高野さんの秘密ということで。
Although it's only a small secret, it feels good to think that I'm the only one who knows about it.
私はようやく3を数えただけ。まだ4にすら至っていない。 研究の道のりはまだまだ険しく長いけれど、私は最後までやり抜くわ。必ずひなみ沢症候群の秘密を暴く。
僕もそれを応援するよ。もともとそれが僕の役割だしね。
もうそういう余計なことを言わなければ十分かっこいいのに。一言応援するって言ってくれればいいのよ。
するよ。君を応援する。
二度言い直してもダメね。一回で言えなくちゃかっこよくはならないわね。
We laughed cheerfully together, and after we finished laughing, she became serious again, and spoke as if to drive the point home.
だから二郎さん、くれぐれも私が孫だって言わないようにね。
言わないよ。約束する。
孫だからいけないということはないけれど、クライアントがそれを知って不快に思ったら予算を切られるようなことがあるかもしれない。
そんなことはないと思うよ。第一、僕は喋らないしね。
絶対よ。本当の本当に絶対よ。私はこの研究のために命をもらったの。祖父の研究を完成させることだけが私の使命。踏みにじられた研究が世界を驚かす偉大なものであったことを証明し、土の下で朽ちる祖父をたたえさせ、神に昇華させること。それだけが私の生きる理由であり目的なの。もしそれを邪魔するような不用意な言葉をあなたがうっかり漏らして研究に支障が出たならば。
大丈夫だよ。ここで聞いた話は忘れるよ。本当さ。いや、絶対に口外しない。僕は約束は守るよ。絶対に言わない。
絶対よ、二郎さん。
I sensed something frightening within her for a moment. Afraid that she would end up possessed by it, I swore to keep the promise. Her intellectual curiosity as a researcher and her conviction to complete her grandfather's work are what stirs her passion for researching Hinamizawa syndrome. I think there's one more reason, but it's far too deep, and it's within a wound in her heart that someone like me should never touch. But earlier, she said, "If you create problems for my research," I wonder what she wanted to say after that. I can't help thinking she wanted to say something terrifyingly merciless. I kept my promise with her, and we never talked about the issue again after that. Okay. I mean, when a woman threatens you... Okay. Let's move on to this one. The third sacrifice. Rika's father being marked as an opportunist is required, and Rika's mother's suspicion is required. So we know this much. The situation has changed. Rika's father suddenly changed his mind about having her help out with the research. When Rika came down with a high fever the other day, her mother, who wasn't happy about her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up. I was hoping the father would convince her somehow, but now he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like her mother, but he demanded that we make our research plans for Rika clear, and that we finish our research within 3 months at most, which was completely unrealistic. Research can't have a deadline, that's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time away from us is like taking away what's vital to live. How could he say such things? Curses, 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 curses. Rika's parents are only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, as they are the parents of the Queen Carrier, we are completely lost about what to do. Tests and experiments on the Queen Carrier are an essential part of our research into Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water. Rika is providing her cooperation with our research, but the withdrawal of her guardian's consent could be a setback. The situation is extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure. But to me, the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. Or are differences causing this predicament? And it's not only them. The same is happening between Irie and me. I knew it was Takano. He thinks it's inevitable that we'd need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. It's understandable. From the beginning, Irie never had the determination to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he will passively by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that the attitude of a researcher who's trying to unravel mysteries? He's the type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet. He's nothing but a coward, who's in this half-heartedly. He started to feel guilty over his past the moment he saw blood. He isn't qualified to even be involved in researching Hinamizawa syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined in because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't be here in the first place. While it's true he produced wonderful results with his development of a cure, he seems to think it's alright to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? That man doesn't have any right to discard my grandfather's research. I can feel my guts boiling. No. Irie isn't the main person at fault. The one to blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. If she wasn't so selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's partly my fault. I maintained trust through relationships and obligations all this time. But somehow Rika's mother and I didn't get along, so I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine because I got along with Rika and her father. But now, the mother has influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence! What a reversal! What a blunder! Irie is saying we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next. But I know once the Tokyo office finds out about this, they'll order us to shut the research down. I worked so hard to even get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped. I still have a little time to think about this. I need to calm down and analyze this carefully. I've always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes, as tenderly as possible. There were times where I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I even endured the hell at that orphanage, so I will never let that woman get in the way. Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Be calm, Mio Takano. Someone else may come up with a better idea. But who? It's not me. It can't be Irie. Of course, nobody from the village will do. Do I talk to someone in Tokyo? No, I can't. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi-sensei would be disgusted if he finds out that I can't solve such a simple matter by myself. Ah, I know. There is someone I can talk to nearby. They are supposed to be my subordinates after all, so it's worth a try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs Okonogi. Mountain dogs are my subordinates, but they are part of the self-defense force, and I'm just a researcher. So we never really had a chance to interact. He did what he was supposed to, and I did what I was supposed to do. So I never even thought of discussing anything with him. But the mountain dogs are there to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before? And then here's a new Okonogi sprite. What a vile, disgusting creature that homunculus was. Anyway. He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has a Hinamizawa accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do.
このままだと女王感染者の協力が受けられなくなるばかりか、騒ぎ立てる母親によって研究所の所在が暴かれる危険性もある。山犬で何か手は打てる?
Can we do something about it? I asked Okonogi rather directly. I'm not really expecting an answer, but...
了解しました。山犬で対応します。お時間をいただければきれいにやりますよ。
対応？
警察沙汰にならんようにしますね。少々の準備は必要ですが、難しい仕事じゃありませんね。
I'm startled. Rika's mother is my enemy, but I was thinking about how I could convince her. But the leader of the Mountain Dogs, the counterintelligence unit whose duty is to protect the secret research, came up with a much simpler plan.
それは殺すということ。
No.
入江機関の機密保持にあたっては、最悪の場合、それももちろんご命令があって初めて実行することですが。
Right. There's a very simple problem to him. Rika's mother has started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance he might talk to people about the institute, so they will eliminate her.
それは確かにうまい手ね。
And the Watanagashi next week!
うまくやれるの？
そのために来ている我々ですね。
God, look at it. Like, he looks so creepy. Can we do a good job? Of course we can.
大臣の孫の誘拐以来、久々の大仕事になりますわ。
Ah, I remember now. The Mountain Dogs are the ones who kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and used that to blackmail him. It's been a few years, so I completely forgot about that. They did such a marvelous job then. That's right. That's right. That's right. I have the Mountain Dogs on my side.
実行はすぐにでも可能？
ただ殺すだけなら今夜にでも。ただ、それでは騒ぎが大きくなりますね。そのための時間さえもらえれば。
Just like a cat's eye under a bright light, I can feel something in the back of my eyes light up, open up. Up until now, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to make her my ally, or at least make her surrender or pacify her. Yet, one order to this man and that problem's easily solved. I feel like a bird taking its first flight. How easily I could get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful to Koizumi-sensei for giving me such terrific subordinates. What a wonderful power he has given me. I was taught that all people are equal. But if I have the power to control people's lives, then that means I'm more important than they are. And what a feeling it is to be above
消
theirs.
すのはフルでリカの母親だけでいいですね。
え？あ、いや、ちょっと待って。
Does he mean only Rika Furuda's mother? I can feel chills all over my body. If possible, maybe I should have her father disappear too. Rika is willing to help. She has no other relatives in the Furuda family. If both parents die, then she has to depend on someone. The Idia Institute can support her. We can give her status, money, and protection. We can give her everything. By doing so, maybe it's possible to make her one of us, rather than just having her as a helper. All my worries are melting away. Everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had such powerful subordinates all this time, yet I never realized. All of my tension is being released, and I'm starting to feel relaxed. I can feel myself regaining my cool head. I'm going to get rid of them. Rika's parents, that is. The Queen Carrier is my guinea pig. A guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right. It's almost time for the Watanagashi festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. The murder case from 2 years ago and the accident from last year are two separate incidents. Yet because they happened on the day of the Watanagashi, they're being called the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. Then if her parents' deaths occur on this year's Watanagashi, it'll be Oyashiro-sama's curse 3 years in a row. The miracle of Oyashiro-sama, also the curse. I'm going to create them. This is a chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with human fate. The incident that occurred 2 years in a row are said to be a curse, but not everyone believes that. However, if it happens 3 years in a row, then everyone has to believe. Because that will be a true curse that's created by me. I'll become Oyashiro-sama. My desire for revenge against God is coming together.
ただ消すだけではなんだか面白みがないと思わない？
When I started to laugh, Okonogi grinned to show his interest.
私たちの手でお社様のたたりを作ってみるの。
I can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away, and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her alive. Oh my god. Of course, I won't just have fun. This will be extremely useful for our research. After all, she's the previous Queen Carrier. How evil of you, Takano. Alright, well, let's find out what happens to him. It'd be here. Mysterious death of the Furude couple. An execution order from the third year's curse is required. A declaration of war from Kurado Oishi is required. Deep down, I was prepared. Fucking hell. Deep down, I was prepared for something to happen tonight once again. The first year, the workers were stirred into a frenzy, killing and dismembering the old man. In the second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the damn protest, only people who have been hated by the villagers died on the day of the Watanagashi. Some people in the village were calling the incidents the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Now that the damn protests are over, there would be no meaning in the village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival, I thought. If that was true, then there were still some enemies left over. I thought that perhaps that would happen again on the night of the festival 3 years in a row. My hunch was right. At first, however, it looked so natural that I didn't think anything of it. The festival was nearing its end and the village officials were gathered under the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and braised cow tripe from the refreshment stands. I was in the main tent too, being entertained by the villagers. So I was actually there at the scene of the third year's incident when it happened. Yet I didn't notice anything at the beginning. Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights too. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Watanagashi festival. So every time visitors and guests arrived, he greeted them, and each time he was offered a drink. So by the night's end, he was pretty worn out. And that's why I didn't think anything of it to see the priest sitting by himself in a folding chair. The mayor Kimiyoshi was the one to tap his shoulder and ask him if he was all right. Right, Iria is always at the like booths, or sorry, the tents where they're all drinking. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat and was definitely not relaxing in his chair, enjoying the cool evening breeze. His face had a sickly pallor, and I thought he should lie down immediately. So the priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Iria. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their own bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point where they start feeling ill. Especially someone like the priest. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience of my years was telling me something. I headed to the Iria clinic just in case. I tried to follow their car, but because the festival was almost over, all the stands were closing up and there was a lot of traffic going in and out, making it almost impossible for me to leave the temporary parking lot. More than 20 minutes had passed since the priest was carried away by the time I arrived at the clinic. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement in this year's incident would have been quite different. I regretted not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. All I get to do now is jot down the facts. Because between the time the priest left the festival and the time I arrived at the clinic, during those 20 minutes, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse right after he arrived at the clinic. He died. The autopsy results say it was heart failure, but how can I accept that? I don't think the priest was having health problems, and everyone was taken by surprise by this sudden event. Moreover, the wife of the priest disappeared too. According to the clinic staff, she was with him right after he died, but she was nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. Maybe someone poisoned the priest. During the dam conflict, the priest was frowned upon for his remarks. He said that there was no need to make a big fuss because the dam project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers liked to hold grudges and hadn't forgotten that, so even I had heard word of them talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine to Oyashiro-sama. I called for backup and had them go search for the missing wife. With last year's falling couple incident as precedent, it was easy to believe both wife and husband could become victims. The village's youth group got organized and searched from the village to the mountains, and as a result, we found a set of sandals and a will by the edge of the Onigavchi swamp. The will said something about how her husband's death was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger. In other words, she committed suicide by jumping into the swamp. Legends say that the swamp is bottomless and is connected directly to hell. Once you sink, you'll never come back. Divers from the police department searched the swamp, but her body was nowhere to be found. The past 2 mysterious incidents were solved individually, just as the higher-ups say, but something is odd about this year's mysterious death. The ill priest was carried to the clinic. His wife accompanied him. Within 20 minutes, the priest died of heart failure, and the wife either committed suicide or disappeared. The death of the priest may really have been a fatal heart attack, but for his wife to assume that it was the curse and to commit suicide by jumping into the swamp, for all that to happen in 20 minutes just doesn't seem natural. The Furuta family has no relatives. Even if she was a true believer in Oyashiro-sama, how could she commit suicide while leaving behind her one and only daughter? Idia is hiding something too. But he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. If this is all a conspiracy to assassinate the priest, then there is someone who's pulling the strings. I've been starting to think that trying to tie the past 2 incidents to the village so forcefully was a bit overbearing for me, but this incident was enough to convince me that this is a series of cases involving mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, were all grounded in one intention. The incident had countless numbers of discrepancies, but someone from the village seems to be putting pressure on high command. And just like the past incidents, this one will be treated as an individual case and end up being forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in the village will say it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I think that's the culprit's goal. And after the war, belief in Oyashiro-sama became antiquated. Is someone committing these murders as a ritual to restore that god's dignity? The one pulling the strings must be the Sorozuki family. Right. So something that I also didn't consider, or maybe I did. I forget if I mentioned it specifically, but yeah, it was more than likely just the mountain dogs acting on behalf of maybe Takano? But it's kind of implied that this is the first time that she's done it by requesting them to remove, her father and mother, Rika's father and mother. So, but were they actually involved? Because the only thing I'm thinking of that could have done it is like, what if Edie is noticing that Satoko's parents are, of course, very stressful to her, or to her environment. Takano picks up on this, and it's just like, oh man, she probably just mentions it to the mountain dogs in passing. Like, oh man, looks like, these guys are being fucking annoying. And they're like, hey, we'll take care of it. It's no big fucking deal. We'll have them, swimming with the fucking fishes. We'll send them up to Jersey. They're gonna go for a long vacation or something. And then that's what happened. A few months passed. Oryo Sonozuki said something like, it was natural for that priest to be cursed by Oyashiro-sama, and so the priest's case was lumped together with the mysterious Hinamizawa deaths, otherwise known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. At first I simply wanted to avenge the old man, but now that the case had grown into an abnormal one, centered on the village's faith, damn it, the old man's killer is human. I won't let it be pushed off onto some nonsense curse. Okay. Alright, let's keep going. So the next one is this one. The formation of a club. Satoshi Hojo's awareness of his sin. Awareness of his sins is required. The mysterious death of the Furude couple is required. His awareness of his sins. What a funny way to word it. School's the children's world. The values of grown-ups don't apply. Children decide their own values and create their own world. So the rules of the grown-up world of the village, don't mean anything here. Even when the villagers badmouth the Hojo family and try to isolate them, that has no meaning. That has no meaning at our school. So this is Shion talking. Well, Mion. You get what I mean. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules they think are irrational don't exist here. That's why, as a representative for the children here, I vow that I will never let any irrational rules come into our world. Yep, it is her. Within the school, no harassment is allowed towards the Hojo siblings. In the very beginning, some boys tease out, mind you, no harassment is allowed towards the Hojo siblings. Cut to 5 months from now, where we have Shion, who's actually Mion pretending to be Mion, fucking kicking Satoko to the fucking ground, and then lifting a chair, getting ready to fucking smack her with it. We don't tolerate harassment at Hinamizawa's elementary school. Anyway, in the very beginning, some boys teased Satoko, but they were punished severely, and it hasn't happened ever since. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village. So I hope Satoshi and Satoko both feel that the school is a safe place for them. Satoshi must notice my concern because he often smiles when he's here. However, I never see Satoko smile. Satoko's classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after they decided that it was best just to leave her alone. I used to try to talk to her, but when I realized something, I stopped doing that. I'm a member of the Sonosuke family. To Satoko, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is watch over her. That's why Satoko is alone in the classroom. That said, Rika is always hanging around with her. Even though Satoko told her she was annoying, Satoshi too is always beside her. These two are the only ones who remain by her side. It isn't limited to Satoko, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing towards the Hojo family. Because her hysterical aunt is so hostile towards her neighbors, there's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know there are fights worth picking and also fights better set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she had stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have gone so far. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she's dragging everyone in the family into it as well. The uncle and the aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Satoko are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Satoko. This was the same too. The aunt is her guardian after all, but Satoko doesn't even try to hide her disgust, so things are going smoothly between them. If she had behaved like Satoshi, then she wouldn't have been made into a target. So does that mean the sad life Satoko is living right now is something she caused herself? No, it doesn't. But no matter how much I sympathize and how much I want to help her, nobody knows what to do. An apology won't change the situation. The flow can't be reversed. The fact that the Hojo family is ostracized by the entire village can't be changed. That's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. Once they become your enemies, the world can become so cruel. Japanese people have known that since ancient times, which is why we cultivate empathy and an obligation to show courtesy to one's neighbors. No matter who I blame, Satoko won't smile. So the only thing I can do is watch over her and make sure that she's safe when she's at school.
ありがとう、ミオ。
えごめん、何？
貞子にいつも気を使ってくれてありがとうって。
Satoshi kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things as if he can read your thoughts. I try to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking.
貞子は笑顔の浮かび方を忘れてしまっただけなんだよ。学校にいるときは本当に少しだけそれはきっと貞子にとってとても優しい時間になってるって思ってるよ。
おじさんが気を使えるのは
せいぜいこの程度だしね。
そんなことないよ。僕も感謝してるよ。
よしてよ。感謝されることなんかないって。迷惑かけてるのは多分うちなんだしさ。
そんなこと思ってないよ。全然。
I'm not good at reading people's subtle cues, but I know for sure what he said is a lie. Satoshi knows that he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozukis, and he's, of course, aware that I'm a member of the family. He's mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he would hate me bitterly. Knowing that, the least I can do is not get too close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Satoko looking depressed or Satoshi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. That might be even more troublesome to Satoshi and Satoko, though.
私、サトコの気持ちを全然理解してないのかな。
どうして？
サトコが辛い思いをしてる一番の原因は、そこの娘の私がサトコの周りをうろちょろすることは、その空気の読めてないことの。
そんなことはないよ。ミオンはそれくらいがちょうどいいと思うけどな。
何よそれ。私は無神経な方がぴったりだって言うの？
そういう意味じゃないよ。
Mm.
その空気というのがサトコから笑顔を奪っているのなら、そんな空気なんか全然気にしない人じゃなきゃサトコに笑顔は戻せないって思ってるから。
うまいこと言ってるけど、さりげなくおじさんのことバカにしてるでしょ。ひどいな。
バカにしてなんかいないよ。
He's blushing. Here's the console sprite once again. We haven't seen this sprite in ages. Since like chapter 5. Ugh. And then like you know, a fucking jump scare for a second.
助けてほしいだけなんだよ。え、僕一人の力じゃサトコに笑顔は戻せない。ミオンみたいな力強い人の助けがいるんだよ。
でも私なんかが無神経なことやったらかえってサトコを傷つけるかも。
その空気がサトコを一人ぼっちにしているのに、だからミオンもサトコを一人ぼっちにするのかい
This is the first time Satoshi has asked me for something so aggressively. Satoko's a very important person to him. He's saying he needs my help to make her smile again. But still, no. Maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sonosuke family and the Hojo family is an issue among the grown-ups. We children don't need to care about that. The irrational rules of the grown-ups don't mean anything in our world. So I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world using methods of my own.
サトコは本当に私のこと迷惑に思わないかな。
初めは少しは思うかもしれない。でも僕も一緒だから、ミオンと一緒だからすぐに打ち解けるよ。
そうかな。今日学校が終わったらサトコを遊びに誘ってみる？
家に帰るとおばさんにいろいろ言われて表に出られなくなってしまうかもしれない。
なら簡単だね。家に帰らずに遊べばいいんだ。
でも帰りがあまりにも遅くなると。
ならさ、あれだ。部活動に加わったっていうのはどう？
部活？
うん。部活ってことにして学校で遊んでから帰ればいいじゃん。だって学校から帰らないでそのまま遊んでる男の子だって大勢いるんだしね。全然問題ないよ。
あ、でも服を汚すとまたおばさんに。
I don't think we've seen this sprite ever, though. There's Satoshi again. And now the console version. He looks so funny. And then... this thing.
ならさ、アウトドアじゃなくてインドア中心にすればいいわけよ。 それなら服も汚れないしね。
インドアってことは教室？でもあんまり暴れると千恵先生に。
インドアで暴れずに。だけれども熱く遊ぶことは可能なんだよ。おじさん、こう見えてもゲームが大好きでね、海外ものの貴重なものとか結構集めてたりするのさ。
Have you ever heard of Monopoly?
マニュアルが英語だったり難しかったりで対戦してくれる相手がいなくて死蔵しちゃってるのが多いんだけどね。
それ聡子にも遊べるかな？
もちろんルールなんてね、わかんなかったらその場で作っちゃえばいいんだよ。全員が同じルールに従う以上、どんなルールだったって公平なんだからね。
You can play Uno first. I know a lot of people don't know the rules, so they kind of just make shit up and people just go along with it. I said it so confidently, but would bringing games from home and asking Satoko to play with us actually make her smile again? What have I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow.
あとさ、ミオン、相談があるんだけど。
何？おじさんで乗れる相談なら何でも聞いてよ。
僕アルバイトを探してるんだ。聡子を元気づけるのに誕生日に素敵なプレゼントをしたら喜ぶかなって思って。
And that's where we learn about the part-time job. Interesting. All right. Let's continue. Should be this one. We might fill out page 1 first. A red capsule. The third year's curse of Oyashiro-sama is required. The strange medicine that I can hardly remember was a capsule. Or maybe it was an oval tablet. It was so red, it must have been a capsule. Can't imagine a tablet in that color. It must have been a capsule. I think it was a little bigger than the normal one. I think. I can't remember. Although I can hardly remember, if I see the medicine again, it'll refresh my memory. That medicine strips away humanity. It takes away a human soul, memory, emotion, and it numbs the human body. There are no thoughts, no interests, no will to stay awake or asleep. There's no sense of time. Sometimes a second can feel like an eternity, and other times I can almost see the hour hand move. Either way, there's no emotion involved. I can't feel any emotion. Medicine only lets me stay in bed and look up at the ceiling. Only the people who have taken it can understand this misery. What's more scary is that while I'm on the medication, I don't realize how scary it is. I'm given the medication daily and I keep losing all my senses. So when the medicine wore off by accident, I realized I should never take it again. That's right. This isn't medicine that will heal me. It's just going to kill me slowly. If I continue to take this medicine, I probably wouldn't be able to tell if I was dead or alive. I would end up losing myself forever. I'll keep looking up at the ceiling without any emotion and keep watching the clock tick forever. If I take the medicine again, I'll lose all senses I finally regained. I may never be able to bring myself back again. Since the day I realized that, I've been pretending to take the medicine but throwing it away instead. If your doctor prescribes medication, you have to finish taking it, even if your symptoms are gone. I can hear my mother's voice. Anytime I went to the doctor's office when I was a child, my mother said that to me. I usually got well before I finished all the medicine, so I didn't finish taking the rest. That's why my mother said that. But this is a different type of medicine. I don't even remember how old I was when my mother said that, but with this strange capsule in front of me, I have to try and get rid of my mother's voice from inside my head. I pressed down on my head with my elbows until it hurt. What? How do you do that? I pressed down on my head with my elbows, trying to get rid of what my mother kept telling me. I don't know what that's supposed to fucking mean. Like, my arms are pretty flexible, but I don't think I can press my elbows down against my head. Maybe because, like, if I put my arms like right next to my head, like even without my headset on, yeah, no, like my elbows still kind of jut out from my head. But anyway, who fucking cares, right? As my head clears, I start to remember the ugly side of my mother. My mother betrayed her family. She betrayed me and my father, who waited for her at home with dinner on the table. Oh, this is Rena. Okay. She told us she was busy with work, but she was having an affair. It is. Like, the second I saw my mother betrayed her family, I'm like, this is Rena. That was bad enough, but she asked my father for a divorce after he took such good care of her for so many years. But there's something else I can't forgive her for. She invited only me to meet with her new family. Not my father, just me. My father and I are family. Family means being together. Yet my mother tried to destroy the bond between my father and me. Not only had she destroyed her bond with him, she tried to destroy my bond with him, too. When I remember, it makes me feel angry and hateful, and I can't forgive her. The back of my eyes start to hurt, and I could feel the hatred on my face. That overflowing animosity is aimed not only at my mother, but also at the man she had an affair with. The man she had an affair with. Uncle Akihito. I didn't like him teasing me, but he gave me an allowance and tried to have fun with me. I liked him very much, but his niceness was all calculated. He wanted to destroy the family bonds between my mother, my father, and me. That's why I shouldn't have said I liked him very much. That's right. I'm starting to remember and understand. I now know my true enemy. It was his fault that my mother started to have an affair. Because my mother was a very good mother. He was the one who made her a bad one. So he's the one who deserves the blame. When was the first time I met him? I think it was the first time when my mother and I went out and had lunch at a restaurant. She introduced him as one of her colleagues from work. At that time, if I think about that first meeting, I think I felt something wasn't right with the way my mother acted around him. That's right, I did. I did think something was wrong. It didn't feel right. I wish I trusted my instincts then. I was a fool to think he was a nice person just because he gave me a strawberry from his piece of cake. It was not my father's fault, because I bet he never met Uncle Akihito. But I have. I've met him many times and there were lots of chances to realize that he was my enemy. If I had a strong enough will to protect my happiness, I could have noticed that. I can't forget how my father looked on that day. My father, who was so nice and gentle, grabbed his knees so tightly and cried so hard. He asked me if I knew Uncle Akihito. I answered yes. Then he slapped me in the face. When he slapped me, I finally realized how stupid I was for being taken in by him. That's right. It was my fault. I had destroyed the happiness that I hoped to last forever with my own hands. If I hadn't been that stupid, my father wouldn't have had to cry like that, and my mother would have stayed good. If I wasn't that stupid, it was my fault. I can't forgive my mother and Uncle Akihito. Even when I hate him this much, I still can't call him uncle. I still call him uncle, and I can't forgive myself for that. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. I was too stupid and foolish, and that's why this happened. I hate her, I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I can't stop being angry. If my mother ever came back to this house, I would rip her apart with my hands. But she never came back. My anger turned towards everything that my mother left in the house. I destroyed every relic my mother left behind, one after another. I threw and smashed everything, but that still didn't calm me down. Even after I turned the whole house upside down, I still couldn't calm my anger. Where does my anger gather? It starts from inside of me, goes through my arms to my fingertips, and spurts from my nails. Where else can it go? So my nails aim at my own body. My body is the filthiest and most disgusting of all. I am the one to be blamed. No, I'm not to blame. My mother's most at fault. My mother's the most corrupt. My body and soul feel filthy. I want to stain myself black and slice the remaining flesh into pieces. And one day I finally realized. There are tons of maggots in my blood. I am rotten. I'm rotten from the inside. Come on, rot more. But it is indescribably itchy. It is itchy, 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 itchy. I stabbed my thigh with a razor blade in the bathroom. The blood flowed out. Reddish-black maggots spilled out. I forced myself to open my blood vessels with my thumbs. The maggots spilled out. Squirm, 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 squirm. So many maggots spilled out of my left thigh. There are probably just as many in my right thigh. Maybe my calves too, my arms, abdomen, chest. No. How many maggots are there in the blood vessels in my neck? Strangely, although I've become rather insane, there is still a part of me that is calm. If I keep ripping myself apart like this, I'll end up dead. But everything is painful. Everything is my fault, and I'm the one to be blamed. Even if I blame my mother, the only way I can disgrace her is with my own body. Oh, I get it now. That's the best means for quelling my anger. I feel like I'm thinking incredibly rationally now. In order to forgive myself, I need someone else to blame. It has to be someone else's fault. But no such person exists. No matter how much I think about it or how I twist the logic, my own body is my only outlet to vent this anger. So long as there's no one else to blame, I'll be forced to rip open every blood vessel in my body. Just like no matter how much I scratch, it still itches. No matter how much I rip apart my own body, it's not enough. The blood is all over the bathroom, and I'm sure it makes for quite the gruesome scene. Although I'm trying to stay calm, I can't ignore the sharp pain that runs through my body. Maybe because I've lost so much blood, or maybe because I'm naked in the bathroom. I feel freezing cold. My whole body is throbbing and my heart is beating so fast. I'm cold and hot at the same time, and I'm also sad, angry, and in pain. I want to find something that lets me forgive myself. Then, it came. It came in a heavenly light. It was mysterious and unreal, like something out of this world. It apologized. It kept apologizing. Why is it apologizing? You apologize when you're at fault. So this thing I just met for the first time was admitting to wronging me. That means I'm not at fault. It's at fault, not me. Aha! I dropped the razor blade. It fell into the puddle of blood. The pain is taking over my body. The pain of ripping apart my own body is taking over me. I've been telling myself this pain is the punishment for what I've done, but I'm not at fault. It is. So I don't need to accept this pain as punishment. So I don't need to defile my body anymore. She continued apologizing to me over and over as soon as I stood there, covered in the fresh blood. She apologized every time I wanted to blame myself, constantly whispering that it wasn't my fault. Oyashiro-sama exists. Yeah, and that's Hanyu telling her and apologizing. She's always following me. And every time I can't endure the guilt, she apologizes and tells me I'm not at fault. Everything is caused by the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Things started to go wrong when I broke the rule that I wasn't supposed to leave Hinamizawa. I finally remember. When I moved from Hinamizawa, one of my neighbors gave me a charm. She said that if I left Hinamizawa, I'd be cursed, so I had to take the charm. That's right. She gave me a charm. It had some complicated writing on it, but I haven't seen it since I moved here. I may have lost it. There's nothing I can do about that. If Hinamizawa residents leave Hinamizawa, they'll be cursed. My mother and I, even Uncle Akihito, may have gone insane because of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Nobody was at fault from the beginning, because everything is caused by the curse. Nobody's at fault. Nobody. I'm finally able to forgive everything. The anger that I couldn't get rid of, even after I destroyed everything, including my body and soul, is finally gone. Father, now I know. The curse of Oyashiro-sama is what caused my mother to leave, and for you to be so sad. You remember Oyashiro-sama, don't you? The guardian deity of Hinamizawa? That's right. People of Hinamizawa aren't supposed to go to the outside world. That's why my mother went insane. It's all because of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. If we had stayed in Hinamizawa, we would have been happy. Oyashiro-sama came to me and told me that. Come to think of it, Oyashiro-sama has been trying to tell me that for a long time. After mother left, I didn't know why she left or how to express my anger. Oyashiro-sama kept following me ever since then to let me know that. She followed me everywhere, the sound of her footsteps echoing behind me, but I pretended I didn't notice her. That was so stupid. I didn't hear her voice until I slashed my body all over. If only I had listened to Oyashiro-sama's voice. I bet she started warning me once Uncle Akihito came into my life. If the whole family had gone back to Hinamizawa, my mother wouldn't have had an affair. We would have been happy there. I bet Oyashiro-sama has been trying to tell me that. That's right. She must have been trying to warn me ever since we left Hinamizawa. She was always with me. She followed me everywhere. I was stupid trying to pretend I didn't notice. Everything was because of that stupidity. If I had noticed Oyashiro-sama's voice, my family wouldn't have suffered from the curse. It's all my fault. Oyashiro-sama's apologizing. She keeps apologizing, which means this is all her fault. So, this isn't my fault, is it? Because this is the curse of Oyashiro-sama, right? She's apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. Oyashiro-sama's apologizing repeatedly. So I'm sorry too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't hear your voice. I'm sorry. We are from Hinamizawa, so we have to keep hearing your voice. Oyashiro-sama definitely exists. Can't you hear, Father? Don't you see? Oyashiro-sama's right here apologizing, saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on, Father, let's apologize too. Mother, you don't have to apologize. You should die because of the curse. I hate you, Mother. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I hate myself for being your daughter. These maggots are your fault. They make me itch everywhere. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, I don't want that medicine. My mother got it to kill me, so I don't want it. I won't take it. I told you I won't take it. Stop. This is a curse, so you can't fix it with medicine. It won't get rid of the maggots because this is a curse. No, I don't want a shot either. Stop. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Everything is falling into a gray world. The voices of my father and the doctor sound so far away. Even what just happened seems like it happened a long time ago. Again, I'm given the capsule and even my memory from a minute ago is gone. Stop taking the meds, Arena. They're trying to stop you from communicating with God. I'm back in bed, in my bed, staring at the ceiling. When I can see, the only thing that interests me is the hands on the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I follow the minute hand as it goes around quickly, and the hour hand as it goes around slowly. I see other things too, but they keep going through the same motions, just like the hands on the clock. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Oyashiro-sama keeps apologizing. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Repeating over and over constantly and nothing else. The chorus of Higurashi coming in through the window during the night seems louder than usual. Sorry for kind of like speed reading that a little bit. But we are getting, we have been going for quite a while. We'll keep going for a little bit longer. We'll do one more. And then I think we'll stop for today. So, that was Rena, so obviously, Rena is next. A red capsule is required.
ごめんください。
はいはいはい。あれ、どちら様？
あ、どうも。私、お隣に引っ越してきました、リュウグウと申します。引っ越しのご挨拶にお伺いしました。どうかよろしくお願いします。
あららら。こんな田舎の村にこんな若い子が引っ越してきちゃったのかい。そうかいそうかい、よく来たね。お母ちゃん、お隣さん、引っ越しのご挨拶来られたわよ。
でっけえ声出さんでも聞こえてんな。すったらわざわざ丁寧に挨拶すまなっしゃろな。
竜宮さんだってお隣の空き家に引っ越されてきたって。
ああ、あんたレナちゃんかいな。大きゅうなって。
はい、レイナです。覚えててくれてたんですか？は
あ。なんね、お母ちゃん知ってんのかい？
知ってるもなんと。ああ、お前沖宮に住んどったから知らんか。ずいぶん前に住んでたお隣さんね。そうかいそうかい、戻ってきたんかい。やっぱり都会よか村の方が落ち着くんねえな。
住んでたのは小さい頃なんであまりよくは覚えていないんですけど、でもここが私の帰ってくるところだったんだなって。
なら馴染むのは早いね。なんかお手伝いできることがあったらいつでも言ってね。遠慮はしないのがここのルールだから。
はい、ありがとうございます。
I thought I'd remember things if I walked around the village, but I still don't remember much. I do recall, however, the vivid breeze as well as the brilliant greenery. I don't remember the village, but I remember that this is my hometown. Red scars still remain on my body. They're hardly visible and I can't even feel them. I'm sure they'll disappear soon. Now that I'm back in Hinamizawa, sometimes I wonder who I was back in Ibaraki. In fact, I think I wasn't myself from the moment I left. And now, by coming back here, I finally regained my true self. I can hardly remember what I was like back in Ibaraki. Well, that's probably because of the red medicine. The medicine erased all my painful memories. Maybe that was for the best. I just wanted to be forgiven back then. I couldn't forgive my mother. I couldn't forgive Uncle Akihito, and more than anybody, I couldn't forgive myself. I wanted someone to acknowledge that I wasn't at fault. I wanted to be forgiven. So Oyashiro-sama apologized. She told me I wasn't at fault because it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama. That's how I was able to forgive myself. I didn't have to die by tearing my blood vessels out of my body. I think people have to die because they become corrupted. That's why people try their hardest not to dirty themselves all their lives. But I'm still living despite how dirty I am. I've been allowed to live. Is there still some filth left on me? Oh. Wrong button. Or am I all clean? I don't know. The only thing I know is that the me who lived in Ibaraki and the me who's here right now are two different people. I no longer feel the need to take responsibility by ripping myself apart because of the filth. Oh my god. After arranging some furniture and unpacking some boxes, we finally had dinner. Although I hardly remember the Hinamizawa, my father remembers things clearly.
お父さんたちがひなみ沢に住んでた頃にもあったんだけど、今は綿流しという行事がとても大きなお祭りになってるらしい。6月の終わり頃にあるらしいね。
綿流し？
お父さんも見たことないんでわからないんだけど、体についた汚れを綿に吸い取らせて沢に流す行事らしい。
Absorb the filth.
汚れって流してしまえるものなんだね。
そりゃそうだ。人間は罪深い生き物だからね。生きてるだけで日々汚れが我が身に降り積もっていくものなんだそうだ。それを年に1回体をお掃除するように綿に吸い取ってもらって捨ててしまおうということらしいよ。
People become burdened with filth and sin by doing something bad. Court sentences can settle your crimes legally, but that doesn't mean the burden of sin, of the filth, will just go away. In other words, human hands can't erase human filth in this human world. The filth is something humans can't get rid of, and that's why we need a god from a different world to do that. That's what I thought. But I'm surprised to learn about Watanagashi. Human hands erasing human filth in the human world, letting the cotton absorb the filth and drifting it down the stream. That means it's okay to live in this world. I tried to commit suicide because I couldn't forgive myself. Oyashiro-sama apologized to me and told me to come back to Hinamizawa. And now, here I am in Hinamizawa, there's this Watanagashi, a ceremony to get rid of the filth. This isn't just a coincidence. Hinamizawa is a place to wash away your filth. It forgives sins. It's a place of forgiveness.
そういうのをな、みそぎって言うんだ。
あ、言葉だけは聞いたことあるかな。
日本文化というものは、汚れというものにものすごく厳格だろ。汚れを残したまま表舞台にとどまることを許さない。ほら、政治家や社長で汚職があるとすぐに辞職するのもそういう。悪く言うと、汚れを誰か一人に押し付けて、隕石させるわけだな。
That was fucking... I accidentally, tapped control, which skips ahead. Anyway. See, that's the reason why politicians and company presidents resign immediately once people find out about their dirty deeds. You must leave the spotlight if you're filthy. To put it in a bad way, the filth is basically pushed onto someone else and they are held responsible for it. Sins and filth must be removed. That's why people push them onto someone else and try to get rid of the filth by sacrificing that person. But if that's the case, every time that filth is created, people will try to pass around responsibility for it. That's awfully hideous. It's almost like seeing demons in the human world. That's why they came up with the idea of letting the cotton absorb all the filth. By doing so, people can live without making someone else take all the responsibility, sins and filth. Putting everyone's sins onto someone and then killing that person makes that person a sacrifice. Who wants to be a sacrifice? That's why they desperately push their sins around. A purification ceremony is about replacing the human sacrifice with a non-human one. The purification ceremony dramatically changes Japanese culture. Before then, people always believed someone had to be a sacrifice. In other words, even with filth, everyone can live without blaming someone else. Filth can be forgiven by a method other than death. Only an existence higher than humans can forgive them. I was forgiven by Oyashiro-sama and came back to this place, to Watanagashi, the purification ceremony that exists here, letting cotton absorb the filth and drifting it away. There's no need for a sacrifice. That's why I've been allowed to live. The filthy me has drifted away, so that the me that remains is no longer Reina Ryugu. If I'm not Reina, then who am I? If I'm without filth, without all the icky things, who am I? A name vaguely appeared in my head. My new name. That only removes one of the letters from Reina, but I think it's a cute name. All the icky things are erased and forgiven with the removal of that one letter. So my name is no longer Reina. My name is Rena. And it's pretty interesting that they kind of expanded a little bit more on the purification ritual itself. Because, yeah, there's quite a few religions out there that have this as a thing. Where the sin, quote-unquote, is put onto some sort of inanimate object or an animal or something. And then that item or that thing is removed. And then that ends up, quote-unquote, cleansing someone of their sins. But anyway, I think this would be a good stopping point for today. So let's go ahead and swap on over to the ending screen real quick.